Hello, welcome back to our series on learning to learn. Today, we're going to continue the conversation of talking about how we learn, how to better learn in video games. And today, we're going to kind of flip it on its head and we're going to talk specifically about unlearning things. Now, the reason I wanted to start off with this is because part of the reason learning is so difficult and making change is so difficult is that we have so many preconceived notions or we have so many habits that we already live through. And so today we're going to be talking specifically about unlearning judgmental mindset. The idea of the judgmental mindset is that anytime there's an action that you do, that there is some sort of response by you. You know, whether you lose a point, you might say darn. Whether you win a point, you might say yay. We want to unlearn that. And we are going to specifically talk about how and why we do this. But first, we're going to watch this clip of Roger Federer versus Rafael Nadal. And then we're going to continue talking. All right. So there we saw just a little volley back and forth go on between them. And here at the end, you can see Roger Federer down here at the bottom looking a little bit upset. You know, he's got his hands up in the air. He's got sort of a cringe kind of face. And Rafael Nadal sort of just walking away. We don't really know what he's thinking. Now in this situation, there's one reaction that we can definitely see, and that's Roger Federer being a tad upset that he made a mistake here and that he's getting scored on because of it. And we can assume that Rafael Nadal has some sort of reaction, whether he might be a little excited that Federer messed up or whether he might be proud of himself for how well he served it, what have you. There's one person here that has absolutely no reaction to either way. He just sees what happens, and that's the judge, the line judge here. Now, I want us to think about the way we learn and the way we react to things as if we're the line judge, not as if we're Federer or Nadal here. And that's because this event happens and the line judge just says what the result of the event is. He does not have an emotion towards Nadal for scoring. He doesn't have an emotion towards Federer for making a mistake. He just says a mistake happened, point is served to one person. This way of thinking really allows us to just fall into sort of a more natural flow of things. When we don't have an emotional reaction to something and we just think of the event as something that happened, then we're able to free ourselves up to either think about how we can make correction or we can think about, you know, what in that situation felt unnatural and how can we return to more natural feeling game. However, there is one important caveat to all of this, and that is that just because we don't want to have a reaction to something that happened, that does not mean that all remarks are judgmental. Sometimes acknowledging someone's strengths or efforts or accomplishments can actually facilitate us to continue natural learning, whereas judgmental interferences acknowledge just your own mistake or your own lacking. And sometimes even you might think the other person did something really stupid. And that's also like a judgmental acknowledgement versus a nicer remark of just like, yeah, he played that well. Instead saying, you know, something like, oh, that was really lame. What he just did is a judgmental remark that invokes more emotion and removes us more from the natural learning process. And I think that those are two really important things to acknowledge is that one, we want to be the line judge. We want to see what's happening and we want to note what it was that felt so unnatural in that moment. Maybe right here, we can just assume Federer maybe was playing on the wrong foot. Maybe he felt that in the moment. And then right now he's kind of yelling at himself, oh, I was playing off my back foot. But instead of thinking all of that and putting all those words into our minds, filling it up, we want to just think like the line judge. Federer might acknowledge, oh, I felt a little unnatural in that moment. And then I made a mistake. And instead of beating himself up, he just moves on from there. And he continues for the next point. And if he finds himself in a similar situation, he might then instead try and find himself back into a more natural, more comfortable position, and then retry again and see what the result is from there. And that right there is the natural learning process we want to enter. We don't want to spend too much time thinking, oh, I had all my weight on my back foot. I need to be more even balanced, and I need to tilt my shoulders more, and I need to have my racket higher. We don't want to do all of that. We just want to think like the line judge here did. We want to think, oops, made a mistake, lost a point. And then we want to just continue playing. We want to find ourselves back in the game, thinking about it instead of thinking about specifics that we could change in the moment. It's also still important to remember that as Nadal here, the person who won the point, you don't want to like over celebrate it. You don't want to think, oh my gosh, I'm just going to keep putting him in that position. I'm going to keep forcing him to play this way. Because what that does is it starts to condition you to think that your opponent cannot make any changes. And then once your opponent maybe makes a change or he plays that situation a little bit better, that's going to throw you into more emotional turmoil than ever before. So we want both players here to be thinking like the line judge, and just staying in this state of natural playing and natural thinking. And that concludes kind of this first episode of of learning to learn. A lot of things that I'm saying here make a little bit of sense by themselves, but will make a lot more sense once they're all put together and all put into habit. But we really want to focus after this on just thinking as the line judge and trying to be as non-judgmental about the actions and consequences of things that happen, and just acknowledge, I did this and I got scored on, and that is it. Move on from it. Thanks for watching so much. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to continue watching the series. Hope you have a good rest of your day.